Shout out to our sponsor, Sherry's Berries.
The holidays are here, and who wouldn't love something sweet? Thanks to Sherry's Berries, you can send your loved ones some freshly dipped strawberries for just $19.99.
Visit berries.com, click the microphone in the top right corner, and use offer code THEKNOW with a space.
Very important.
Do a barrel roll.
Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
Most of the time, video game developers reserve press releases for bragging about how many copies of Space Shooter 2017 you just shipped. But today, Crytek, the creators of Crysis, had to send out a different kind of press release.
Uh-oh, we were just talking about them the other day.
Yeah, this is the follow-up.
The company announced that as of today, they're refocusing their strategy and sadly shutting down 5 of their studios, leaving only their headquarters in Frankfurt and an additional studio in Kiev intact.
Like 5 days before Christmas, guys? Come on. This is unfortunate. It's not that much of a surprise given the story we did last week with the recent reports that they've had trouble paying their employees for, well, the better part of 2016. I mean, once you're able to do that, you either choose to shut down and put people out of work, or you make the really dick move of trying to get people to work without compensation.
In Crytek's case, why not both? The studios affected by today's announcement are Crytek's satellite branches in Hungary, Bulgaria, South Korea, China, and Turkey. Considering they have around 700 employees on their payroll across all locations, that's a whole lot of people who will be displaced just ahead of the holidays.
Seriously, this is the ultimate Scrooge move, guys. You could have just waited a little bit longer. It might surprise you.
They weren't paying them anyway, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but they had the hope and now that's been taken away. It might surprise you to learn the company operated so many offices and had so many workers on staff, considering they had barely any games to show for it, which is part of the problem, I guess. However, it's one that Crytek is trying at least to fix, short of a complete shutdown, thanks to a refocus on its core strengths of developing innovative games and game development technology.
Crytek also said via its press release that the remaining studios will continue to develop and work on premium IPs, will remain a core pillar of Crytek's overall strategy, with enterprise licensees and indie developers alike continuing to be served by regular engine updates. All of the development studios will not remain within Crytek, and management has put plans into action to secure jobs and ensure a smooth transition and stable future. So
on the positive side, it does sound like they're at least going to try to assist the now former employees with new roles around the industry, which is pretty good. It's that's helpful at least, and they'll probably get paid sooner. Hopefully also that's more than just a PR lip service, and that those plans include, paying them the money they owe them to.
I would hope so. Last week we reported on Crytek's failure to pay its employees for the last several months. That news broke via Reddit, where an anonymous employee claimed that he and some of his coworkers had been experiencing payment interruptions since May of this year, with some employees working without pay for that entire duration.
That's so long, you guys. Similar reports landed at the same time across the web, telling the tale of a company in a little bit of a financial hellhole. According to the reports, Crytek is totally out of money. Company co-founder and president Chevalier hasn't been to work in months. Multiple studios haven't been paid, and employees are leaving the company in droves.
And all these events were a bit too familiar for the developers' employees, because the same exact thing happened to Crytek back in 2014, following the poor reception of the Xbox One exclusive Rise. That financial trouble also resulted in the closure of another Crytek studio, Crytek USA, here in Austin.
Now, since we reported on the initial story, there have been a few new developments, aside from the fact that all the studios are shuttering. Last week, an employee started a GoFundMe to help sue Crytek to get his wages back, and that campaign ended up being ultimately shut down by GoFundMe.
Kotaku also reported last week that Crytek did manage to pay its Frankfurt employees for October, and promised that November wages would be coming this week in time for Christmas. But, of course, that doesn't count for all the other employees around the world.
Nope, just Frankfurt. So, what exactly is Crytek going to do next? I mean, they mentioned a renewed focus on premium IPs. It seems like an interesting shift, possibly signals a return to some of their former franchises. Their biggest property was always Crysis, and that hasn't seen an update since 2013's Crysis 3. Although, really, it was like Crysis was the strong one out of the gate. Everyone was super impressed, and then it was kind of diminishing returns after that.
Another possible franchise would be Rise.
I'm sorry.
While it was received poorly by critics, it did have gameplay elements some gamers look back fondly on, along with some impressive visuals thanks to CryEngine.
And the QTE events.
Yeah, maybe it could be well served by a sequel, improve on that. There's also the beloved FPS Time Splitters, which Crytek acquired when they purchased Free Radical back in 2009.
Now, Time Splitters is actually one that I'd like to see more of.
Time Splitters was fun.
Yeah, but beyond that, the company hasn't really done a whole lot besides some free-to-play games that they worked on with Chinese money machine Tencent, which, again, was probably part of the problem.
It just shows that there's currently a pull out there in the industry to cash in on free-to-play, with tons of developers trying to find a sweet spot in the games as a service model, but it's not like there's free money out there just lying around for the developers to scoop up. This is the exact reason Nintendo stocks are taking a hit for Super Mario Run, with investors feeling like Nintendo should have been more aggressive with microtransactions.
Yeah, following the initial success of Crysis and the early popularity of its engine, Crytek expanded really rapidly, which is how they ended up with so many extra studios. From 2008 to 2012, they opened all the studios that are affected by today's announcement, increasing their workforce like crazy while struggling to find another hit.
Out of the studios closed today, none of them were working on anything that's significant, which makes it pretty shocking that they waited this long to make the decision to close them down.
Now, going forward, it looks like Crytek will be going back to the well that made them famous, a focus on technology. Another pillar of their business in the past was licensing out the Cry engine, but that's also taken a bit of a hit as more viable options like Unreal Engine 4 have gone free for developers. At this point, that might not be something they can really recover from either, although both Amazon and Star Citizen have made use of their technology in recent years, even if Star Citizen modified it so heavily they changed the name.
Unfortunately, this isn't the only news of layoffs in the industry recently either. Obsidian just laid off some employees who were working on Armored Warfare, another free-to-play game, earlier this month, as development on that title got shifted to another location.
Fairly typical, sadly, to see these kind of things hit later in the year as companies do what they can to make changes before the start of the following year. But hopefully, the developers formerly at Crytek can land on their feet. Best wishes to everyone affected, and I really do hope that Crytek follows through on their attempts to get people hired. I remember when Irrational decided to go from a AAA studio to kind of more of an indie studio, there were almost these huge job fairs happening to get those people employed. Although they're also AAA developers, and I'm sure very much in demand.
So what do you guys think of Crytek shutting down most of its studios after all of their financial problems? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates from all around the video games industry, like this video and subscribe to The Know. Thanks to Sherry's Berries for sponsoring this update.
The holidays are coming up faster than you think, so don't put off that gift shopping.
You've only got like this much time to get them before Christmas actually comes. If you think your loved ones would like some freshly dipped strawberries, and we do because we fight over them whenever we get some in the office, and we have to put notes like Gus will hate you on them to keep anyone else from eating them, well, try the strawberries.
You can send anybody a batch for $19.99. Just go to berries.com, click the microphone in the top right corner, enter code THEKNOW with a space.
And then you get a little bit of this. Ready? There's dark chocolate. These ones got nuts on them. There's white chocolate. I'm gonna try one of these.
The white chocolate are the best ones.
Yeah.
In my opinion. They're all good, but my favorite is the white chocolate. But that being said, I'm gonna eat the milk chocolate.
I just like strawberries in general, to be honest. Like, these are great. And we get to eat all these now. No! Bite you.